It's hard coming to terms with the fact that you don't really know yourself sometimes. It's been one thing after another where I'm realizing, though on a surface level, the interpretation of who I am was correct, all the underlying reasons, like why I do the things I do or act the way I do, it changes everything. And I mean, everything. Maybe it is really annoying when someone self diagnoses as neurodivergent and it seems like they're suddenly making their whole personality that one thing. But god damn, if realizing I'm probably autistic hasn't actually had an effect on everything about me. It started with going off that I'm not a picky eater, I've just always had food sensitivities and been surrounded by inconsistent, lackluster meal options. But then I realized, sure, I am a light sleeper, which I've known all my life, but it's not just because the environments I slept in were with loud, snoring other people. Now that those aren't factors in my life, I've had to address that I don't sleep well most nights for a variety of other reasons, from sensory issues with blankets, an overacting brain with ruminations and echolalia, and extremely disruptive dream cycles. Because my brain is not quite like everybody else's, and it never has been. So, this week's fun revelation is how fucked up my nervous system must be. Like, turns out that's a pretty autistic thing too. To react poorly to small stimuli and yet completely brush off otherwise devastating ones. And I've always said and known if anybody asked me, I'd say, I have a high pain tolerance. And I do. But again, it all comes down to the why. I saw a post the other day of an autistic content creator revealing that she'd broken her foot, but because of delayed processing or altered processing of that pain, she didn't realize and go to the hospital to get a cast for 5 whole days. And I realize how bananas that sounds, but I've done it too. I fractured my finger in public school. We used to have an icy hill that all of the kids liked to slide down, and though it was supervised, an older boy went down after me way too soon and snapped my finger the wrong way under his winter boot as he ran into me. The pain was a lot, but me being me and not wanting to draw attention to myself, I just got up and stood alone overlooking the playground, facing away from everybody, holding in my tears until I could manage it. Classic masking. I've never been good at asking for help. So rather than go to a teacher, I went to my best friend at the time. I told her my finger hurts a lot because I hoped she'd come with me to the office and make it easier to explain to other people that I need help. But to my surprise, she told me her finger hurt too. I was a kid. I didn't understand how or why she would be making that up. So I believed her. We went to the offices. The designated school nurse, which wasn't really a nurse, I don't think, she looked at her finger, my friend's finger, instead, and she said that there was nothing wrong with it. And the thing is, if my best friend's finger hurt enough for her to speak up about it, I thought it must be even worse than mine because of my own reluctance to seek help. So I just shied away and accepted that, oh no, my finger must be fine too then. But the pain didn't go away. By the end of the day, it was swollen and throbbing. The funny thing is, with injuries like that, sometimes I go through a process of accepting this is just how my life is now, and that my finger will feel like this until I die. I didn't say anything about it, but I think my mom saw me holding things funny while I was trying to do stuff, so I had to admit to her that I'd hurt my finger on the ice hill. She called the nurse in because we were in an after school program, like still at school at that time, and then she told me, like the nurse, the original nurse, that I'd fractured, if not broken, my finger. And she was apologetic that she didn't look at mine too, but there was also an edge of scolding, like, why did I let my friends take the spotlight when I was so hurt? And that didn't feel good either. But but yeah, same thing, right? Like if I hadn't got called out on it by my mom, who knows? Maybe I would have just dealt with it for months and my finger would have just healed more crooked. In jobs throughout my life, it always felt a little weird that I always seemed to take so much more physical wear on my body than my coworkers. especially the last job I had, carrying heavy, awkward things or doing repetitive tasks for hours on end. Sometimes my body would just be wrecked. I'd be so sore that walking or using my arms was hard, and no one else is going through that. Why? Because I'm constantly passing my limits and I just don't know. I'm powering through getting things done that need to be done, whereas other people are recognizing and stopping when they're under that level of distress. And I'm still really struggling with this in trying to introduce more physical activity into my day. Like, I'll be doing sit ups or running on the treadmill, and it feels great at the time, but then a day later, the muscle soreness sets in, and I'm basically bedridden for several more days because I can't stop overdoing it. Even knowing this, I'm trying and it's still not working out. I keep hurting myself. And again, it's one of those things where I could have just had a high pain tolerance and that was fine, but it's not just that. Neurodivergence seems to have some effect on just about every trait I have, whether it's how I react or respond to something, or all the ways that I avoid certain things, not just mentally, but physically. So, as much as it seems like I'm obsessed over this new aspect of myself, it's kind of hard not to. It's shaped who I am to my very core. Not only do I not really know myself well enough, even when I seem to have sourced an issue, I still can't manage to fix the practice. Send help!